Hello, this is a take two of day two, part 4. We're gonna pick up with Darrell. Now this is after give what I wouldn't do to get the audio and visual of what happened when they tried to get those COVID results off of that desk, because apparently it was epic. They had him in the other courtroom when she read it off. I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. I did have it in, but I'm going to cut it out because medical stuff is private. But I think we all know, much as we always do, that everything that Darrell does is a lie. So we're going to pick up with them back in the courtroom, getting ready for another witness. As you can see, he's pouting like a petulant little child, because people aren't paying enough attention to him. But don't worry, he'll wake up. Now, the next person coming up on is an officer. He's the officer who talked to Erica, Corey, and Nick after the assault. This is when Erica is still kind of doing the whole domestic violence victim dance, where she's saying, nothing happened, I just want this to be over, I don't want to do anything. She's afraid. And I think that's where we come from. The detective, Guth, who testified, was really very eloquent in saying that this is a general pattern, something they see, it's a pattern of the cycle, and they know it is. But again, this is all in an effort to tie the prior incident in with what happened at the parade. And it's pretty fantastic. The officer they have on the stand, great officer. He does a few things that I really, really like. Number one, he answers to the jury. Even though the questions are coming from the attorneys, the answers are to the jury. It's the jury that's going to make the decision, right? So we're taught it's not the judge you're talking to. It's not, even if the judge asks a question, if the jury's there, it's the jury that gets the answer. So he does that, which is going to come up. It's great. He's very exact. He can recall, he recalls details. He's a really good officer. I wouldn't put him in front of a class trying to teach, because everything from his head just comes right out, and it's too much. You have to kind of have a meet of the minds to get that to occur. He needs to slow his roll. But for his temperament, for his personality, he really has some strengths where this is concerned. So let's get rolling. I'm going to try to keep these to a half an hour because my computer doesn't like it otherwise.
Continue with testimony.
No,
Just
thank you.
Check. All right, Mr. Brooks, anything you want to address at this point?
No, I'm not going to say anything because I'm feeling emotional.
It's hard for me to see his head. He's bent over, but I thought I saw him shaking his head. No, but I'll ask one more time. Mr. Brooks, anything you want me to address before the jurors are brought out to continue with testimony from witnesses?
Just a little emotional right now.
She's just not getting enough attention right now.
Let's bring the jury.
In addition to my special me anagram that we've been working with narcissistic behaviors, there was another person who did, a YouTuber who did all of these way better. Oh my gosh. A big fan of Beefy Has Anxiety because he was hilarious. But he went through a lot of the ways that narcissists win arguments. So arguing semantics and gaslighting and things like that. Very funny YouTuber. I'm going to
We'll continue.
highly recommend.
The state has a witness available. All right. Thank you.
All right, let's move it on. See when Darrell wakes up and joins us. See, he's not getting enough attention, and of course he's not standing, and The arrogance. What?
Why don't you hold off on that, and at the next appropriate time when they're not on their way in, I can address whatever it is. Or if you want to pass me a note, you can do that as well.
Just trying real hard to be nice to him. Come on. Why am I stuck? No, I know why I'm stuck. Because I lost my internet connection. Sorry. I'm not going to futz with it too much. I'm just going to let it reconnect. There we go. And of course he doesn't stand. Because why would he be respectful? He's Darrell. Darrell Brooks the Petulant.
All right, thank you, everyone. Please be seated. And good afternoon to our jury. State may call its next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state calls Officer Jeremy Phillips.
All right, good afternoon, officer. If you would please make your way to the witness stand, which is to my right. When you get there, please remain standing, raise your right hand, and my clerk, Teresa, will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you, sir. Please be seated. First thing I will ask you to do is to state your first and last names for the record and spell each.
My first name is Jeremy, spelled Jeremy. My last name is Phillips, Phillipps.
Thank you. Go ahead, you're witness.
Thank you. How are you employed, sir?
I'm employed with the City of WAUKESHA Police Department.
And how long have you worked in law enforcement?
I've been in law enforcement for a total of 14 years next month.
All with the City of Waukesha?
I have about 5 months with the City of Dodgeville Police Department in Wisconsin. The rest is with the City of Waukesha.
All right. Sir, I'd like to direct your attention to the date of November 21 of 2021, please. Were you working that afternoon?
I was working that afternoon, yes.
What was your duty or assignment?
I was assigned a normal patrol beat, squad area 216 with the City of Waukesha on a 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. shift.
Were you aware there was a parade taking place in downtown Waukesha that afternoon?
I was aware that there was a Christmas parade downtown Waukesha.
Were you directly assigned to work the parade?
I was not assigned to work the parade.
You said you were one of the officers that was just involved in general patrol of the city that afternoon.
That's correct, yes.
Okay. I'd like to direct your attention to time around 4 o'clock or 4:30 in the afternoon. Do you recall getting dispatched to Frame Park?
I do recall being dispatched there, yes.
Do you know the exact time you were dispatched?
I believe it was 4:52 p.m. approximately there.
Okay. And where is Frame Park located?
Frame Park is rather large, but it's generally located in the downtown area off of White Rock Avenue and Baxter Avenue.
What was the nature of the complaint you were responding to?
I received a complaint to respond in emergency fashion, which means light and siren, for subjects fighting in the park with a knife allegedly involved.
Where were you coming from?
I was in the patrol area of
Shaking.
East
Oh my
Moreland, roughly at East Main Street at the time. That's where I was responding from.
Was Main Street shut down at the time for the parade?
Main Street where I was responding from was not, no.
Okay. I guess let me ask a better question. Were you able to travel along Main Street to get to Frame Park? From where you were located to get to where you needed to go, did you travel on Main Street?
I did not travel on Main Street to get to Frame Park.
Okay. And which direction did you come in from then?
I came in on East Moreland, westbound, to White Rock Avenue, westbound.
And as you approached the area, could you see individuals associated with the parade?
Yes, I could, as I neared the vicinity.
What do you remember seeing?
As I neared the vicinity of White Rock Avenue at Baxter, directly in front of me appeared to be a unmarked patrol vehicle, silver in color, which was blocking the roadway at White Rock Avenue and Hartwell Avenue, and I believe off.
So that was that incident commander's car that he was talking about. So he can see the incident commander's car in the middle of the street.
To the side, I could also see a marked patrol vehicle.
Could you see any floats or people participating in the parade?
At that particular time, as I arrived in the vicinity, I did not. I just saw the side of a squad car with emergency lights activated. It wasn't until a little while later I saw that there were floats and such on the other side of that patrol vehicle.
The silver colored SUV with lights, red and blue lights activated, do you know whose squad car that was?
That belonged to Sergeant Dave Warner.
Where did you go?
When I arrived to the area, initial dispatch information stated that this alleged fight involving a knife was somewhere in the vicinity of the Schutze building where the boat ramp was. Based on my training and experience of that vicinity, I know that the boat rental checkout is on the back side of the Schutze building, so that's the initial area I responded to and where my attention was drawn to.
This time, Your Honor, I'm going to ask your permission to put up Exhibit 1, which is the map of the area we've been working off of.
Permission granted.
Do you see that item in front of you, Officer Phillips, on the screen?
I do now.
Okay. So that is a touch screen in front of you. If you want to draw or circle or anything like that, you may, or you can just simply talk. I would like you to identify for us where you came in to the area.
And he's trying to make it bigger.
Well, it's not really blowing up, so...
No, if you want it blown up, we can blow it up from our table. Sorry. We'll zoom in.
If you wouldn't mind, where it says Frame Park in the upper right-hand corner, that would be, looks like the vicinity that I probably responded to. I would need to see a bigger image.
that good?
That will suffice.
Okay.
So I responded in a direction on White Rock Avenue, coming this way. This now is Baxter Avenue, which I would have made a right-hand. That will suffice.
Okay.
I don't know
So I
why
responded
did that.
in a direction on White Rock Avenue, coming this way. This now is Baxter Avenue, which I would have made a right-hand turn onto. And right about in this parking lot area is where the Shootsy building exists. And then there would be a boardwalk and some trails behind that where the boat ramp would be.
Okay. And you drove in that area first, right?
Correct.
What were you looking for?
At that time, I was looking for anybody suspicious that may be involved in a fight, somebody carrying a weapon, somebody that might have been battered and bruised or obviously injured or in need of help.
Okay. Did you see anybody?
I did not.
Did you drive around a little bit?
I drove around in the parking lot of the Shootsy building. There was another officer already on scene who, from my understanding, was already on foot in and around the vicinity of the Shootsy building and advised that they could not find anybody at the Shootsy building.
Okay. Officer Phillips, do you see White Rock School on this map?
I do, yes.
Could you put an X on White Rock School?
White Rock School is this elongated building right here, so we'll draw a large X through it.
Okay. And you said the roadway running parallel to White Rock to the north is Baxter?
Correct.
Okay. And Baxter is the road closest to the river. There's no other roads that run along the river there. Just like a walking path or something, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Another officer's out on foot. What do you do?
At this point, the officer came over the radio and stated he could not find anybody in the vicinity. I was listening and monitoring the radio, and at some point, what I thought was a reserve officer came over and said that they were speaking with a couple of subjects potentially involved. So at that time, I got on the radio and said I was going to attempt to meet with the caller, because I didn't exactly know who this reserve officer was speaking to, how many subjects were involved, if they were actually involved or just a witness to the situation. All of that information was completely unbeknownst to me, so I decided I should probably go meet with a reserve officer and figure out who these subjects are and what the involvement was.
This reserve officer was working as part of the parade, is that right?
He was in the vicinity right at Sergeant Dave Warner's location.
Okay. So did you drive down there?
I started to drive in that general direction towards White Rock Avenue in Hartwell, which is where Dave Warner and Reserve Officer Troutman would have been. Before I could fully reach that intersection, there was approximately 3 subjects off to my right-hand side on the sidewalk that were yelling, screaming, and waving, like flagging me down. The way that they were doing this, they appeared to be in distress. They appeared that they needed immediate help, and certainly appeared that they needed to speak with somebody in law enforcement.
Can you put a small X on the map in the approximate area where you met up with these 3 individuals, or they were waving at you?
It would have been about halfway between Baxter and where Sergeant Warner's squad was parked. So again, this is going to be an approximation, but I'm going to put that X right about here.
Okay. So I assume you pulled over.
I pulled over, I rolled down my passenger window, and 2 of the subjects started yelling that their friend had been assaulted. So it was right at that point that they started trying to tell me that their friend had been assaulted, that information came over the radio on the primary dispatch channel that something had happened downtown and somebody had been hit. So at that point, my attention started to get a little bit diverted, because hearing that on the radio is not something that just happens every day. That perks you up pretty quickly to figure out, that could be a serious injury, that could be more officers needed something to that effect, so that took my attention away briefly. As I looked back at the subjects, they started to again say that their friend had been assaulted, so I said, hold on, let me pull over so I can get out, so I can speak with you directly in person and figure out what's going on. I pulled my squad over.
Yep, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay. I pulled my squad over, I exited my driver's side of the vehicle, came around to the front of my vehicle when a short black female who was wearing what appeared to be a blue coat and blue jeans walked in the front of my patrol vehicle. There was 2 other subjects that were with her, and they started to indicate that she had been assaulted by a boyfriend of some type. I started to talk to the female who had the blue coat on, and I said, okay, I said, well, what happened? Who is this person? And she tried to downplay what happened. She didn't want to be cooperative. She made comments to the effect of, nothing happened. It was just a verbal argument. I'm fine. I just want to leave.
Did you see any injury on her?
So at that time, I did. The 2 subjects that were with her tried to tell her that they said, no, Erica, you need to tell him what happened. And on it, she had an obvious black eye on one side of her face. The other eye also looked like it was swollen. But it was appear that she had facial injuries that were obvious.
You said they referred to this person by the name of Erica, is that right?
Yes.
Did you eventually ask this person for her name?
I did eventually ask for her name, yes.
What did she tell you?
She told me that her full name was Erica Patterson and that her date of birth was 10/7 of 1990.
Okay. And were you going to investigate her complaint further?
I was attempting to investigate the complaint further, yes.
And then what happened?
So as I was speaking to this woman who identified herself as Erica, along with the 2 other people that were with her who I did not identify, the calls on the radio at that point were 1078 after 1078 after 1078.
Okay,
and
what does that mean?
So 1078 in law enforcement jargon is officer needs immediate assistance right now, all available units. As that was being called multiple times, other people were coming on the radio and stating there were subjects down in the street, then it was 10 people down, then it was 15, then it was to 30 or 40. And I had to make a decision at that point, speaking with the subjects, particularly the one who appeared to be involved and the most injured, who was not being cooperative with me, that the greater danger and the clear and present threat that was happening downtown had to draw my attention. I had to leave.
All right. The events that you've described for us so far, are those all captured on your squad video, sir?
Yes.
And at that time, in November of 2021, were you wearing a body camera?
I was not wearing a body camera at that time.
So you had a video recording device in your squad car, correct? But when you exit your squad, it's no longer recording your activities unless you can be seen on the camera in front of the squad, correct?
I have an audio recording device on my person that is synced and connected to my squad exterior windshield camera.
Okay. And that camera in your squad is stationary, is that correct, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Eventually then, do you leave the area where you're speaking with Erica and the other 2 individuals and go to Main Street?
I leave the area. I tell her I'm sorry that I had to go. I went down White Rock, navigated float traffic, went down East Main Street in a westbound direction, and eventually came to East Main Street at Barstow Street, where I exited my patrol vehicle.
Okay, I'm going to ask... Oh, yes. Before I move away from Exhibit 1, could we please get a screenshot, Madam Clerk, of the drawings by Officer Phillips, and then I'm going to ask to switch to Exhibit 6, please.
So for purposes of the record, I believe I'm at 1C for the capturing using the annotation feature.
Think we agree with that?
Yes.
All right, officer. You see, we've now put Exhibit 6 on your monitor. It's not yet displayed for the courtroom. Do you see Exhibit 6 on your monitor?
He's going to wake up here in a minute.
Do you recognize this, or do you want us to play it for a few seconds?
I recognize what I'm looking at.
Okay. Do you believe this to be a truthful and accurate recording from your squad video that afternoon, sir?
I haven't listened to it at this point, but I would believe if it's from what I'm looking at, it would be accurate to my squad video, yes.
Okay. And you ultimately saved your squad video and submitted it to be used as evidence in this case, correct, sir?
Yes, I did.
All right, and this is a clip from that squad video?
It appears to be, yes.
Okay. Move to admit and permission to publish Exhibit 6, please.
Mr. Brooks, any position on that?
Yeah. What is the grounds? We haven't seen what's in the video.
That's not
Your objection is noted.
stupid.
It is overruled.
Your objection is
Exhibit
stupid.
6
Okay.
is
I think that even those of us who are not attorneys have come to understand and learn that when you make an objection, the objection has to be rooted in some kind of law or a citing of some sort of a case or something like that, that it's not relevant to the case, it's the wrong day, it's not really his thing, it doesn't show what he's saying it shows, it's irrelevant to the, whatever's on there isn't relevant to this case. You've got to say something. No, we haven't even seen it yet. Is not valid. It's not a thing. Sorry, Darrell.
the permission to publish is granted.
All right, so for the record, this clip is about 6 minutes long.
Sorry for my
It
rant.
exactly ends at the 5:59 mark, but we're going to play it through, Officer Phillips, and I may ask Ms. Gussie to pause at times so you can kind of describe what's going on in the video. But if you can just orient us what we're looking at right now, please, before we start playing.
So this is an orientation. This would be White Rock Avenue facing a southwesterly direction that will go directly to Main Street. This right here is Baxter Street. And then what you're looking at on the right-hand corner is White Rock Elementary School.
So here's
What about
the
way
school.
down in the distance? It looks perhaps like it's a church steeple.
Here's Baxter Street.
So you can see what looks like the church steeple down. That's going to be
That's the church steeple.
Main Street down there.
And this
And
is the guy's
particularly of
car.
note, you can see what looks to be a silver-colored car in the center of the roadway. That is Sergeant Warner's unmarked
Warner's car.
SUV patrol vehicle.
Okay, now
I'd just like to make a record when he was pointing and saying this, at least initially he was using his right hand pointing to the roadway that's depicted in the still of this video image. He also said over here, or this is Baxter. You can see about midway in the frame a street sign, and there's a street that intersects. That's where he was pointing to, that particular street. Again, I believe that was Baxter. I believe the rest of his comments comport with the record and don't need further explanation or at least verification by the court. So go ahead.
all right, thank you. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start to play. We're at the 0 mark right now. Where are you going now? Pause, please. I'm sorry. 9 second. We're pausing. Go ahead, officer.
So what you're looking at here is Baxter Street. And right off to your right-hand side, I get that pointing at things with my hand isn't necessarily ideal. But the building over here is the Shootsy building. Where those squad lights are there is the parking lot of the Shootsy building. There's at least one officer already on foot in this vicinity of the Shootsy building where the alleged knife fight with multiple individuals were involved.
Okay. And I see, looks like red and blue lights there in the middle of the photo, or the video.
Correct.
Whose squad is that?
I know one of them is Officer Nick Hendrickson.
Okay. And is that the officer that you were referring to earlier when you said another officer was also trying to help you find these subjects involved in the fight?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Off to the left, it looks like there's a bunch of cars parked there.
Correct.
Is that general parking available to the public?
That is general public parking for the Shootsy building.
Okay. All right, we're going to go ahead and play again.
For the subject that are claiming that this fight happened.
If they were at Hartwell and Maine with the reserve officer.
Are you driving on Baxter now?
I am driving down
The problem, the two subjects walked down towards the White Rock School Hispanic male, Hispanic female.
Pause it, please. Whose voice was that, if you know?
I'm not going to say I know 100% sure on that.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. Play.
216, I'm 1016. I will just call it. Okay.
So he turns around in the parking lot, goes back out to White Rock, and he's going to turn right.
Slow everybody down. I don't see anything redone what must be reported.
So let's do, I got it. All this was back to brain, just serious.
Pause.
Okay, so
It's a little hard to see, but on the right-hand side, did you see the individuals walking down the street there?
I did. My squad just passed.
I'm sorry,
but
sidewalk. Yeah.
About 2 seconds prior, there were 3 individuals who were walking down the sidewalk. These are the 3 individuals that flagged me down on the passenger side of my car.
Okay. Go ahead.
We just have to get to the main and burn, so somebody got hit.
Okay, so where he says "what the f," I will tell you that listening on the radio, if you hear somebody's voice elevated, most of the time on the radio, we are so broke down. I mean, nobody has any kind of inflection in their voice whatsoever. So hearing something that elevated on the radio, that's why he was like, "What the f?" So that was at the beginning of what Darrell did. Oh no, he's talking about earlier.
Hold on for a second, okay? 216, I need another at Hartwell and White Rock. I know this person reported it. Okay. White Rock, Hartwell. Okay.
Shots fired. I heard that.
Who ran? Do we have a weapon?
We have multiple subjects down. 10 to 15 people, main and gas fire. Repeating, main and gas fire, 1078.
Whoever's on that radio.
What is your name? Say your name. Harris, what's your date of birth? So, 10/7/1990. Erica Patterson?
Is in a great deal of distress.
Okay.
This guy's smart. Oh, whoever's on that radio is lost it.
I copy 1078.
So here is parade floats waiting to start. I'm going to stop it pretty soon. Mostly because my computer can't do long.
It's visual at 369 West Main Street.
Got an unconscious, unresponsive 5-year-old. I'm trying to get him to the vehicle again.
He's waking up now.
Is that you running away from your squad, sir?
That was me running away, yes.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so I'm going to stop right here and pick up with him very shortly after for the rest of this, because Darrell is starting to wake up at this point, and I think that deserves a little bit of commentary and, I don't know, maybe opinion on your part too if you've seen it before. So, and to me, that's pretty hard to listen to. That radio is pretty graphic. You can see that in the time that he's talking to the three, Erica, Corey, and Nick, almost the entire incident happens. So I've never really listened to that soup to nuts. So like, subscribe, and comment, and we'll continue on with this very soon.